question number 4. Do you favor or oppose charter schools and why? What is the effect of charter schools on the district? And we'll start with Trish Spencer.
Okay, this is an interesting question because people, when it comes to us as a school board, our legislature there's legislation that requires the school board to approve charters that meet A, B, C, D, E, F, these requirements. So for instance, when we have NIA come to us, they do a petition, and then they set forth how they satisfy the requirements, the legal requirements, and I'm an attorney by profession, so I look at the law, and there's a reason why our legislature has this, the historical, when they looked at how our students are being served by our schools, they determined that they thought that charters would fill a need and that we could have try different teaching techniques, try to serve students differently in a smaller school, and then try to expand that. But so I personally, I've had kids go to charter schools when their needs have been elsewhere, and it has worked out. I look at legally whether or not they meet the requirements, and however they are a financial drain from the district's perspective.
Mr. Mooney.
My opinion is that charter schools are a way to get voucher schools going in California. But we need to remember that charter schools are public schools, and we, the school board, has a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that they follow their charters. There are charters doing wonderful work in the state, and there are charters that are terrible, including having executive directors that drive Jaguars around and getting $500,000 a year. So school boards need to make sure that they're looking at what's going on. We do not just approve them and then walk away. We review their finances, we review their education program and ask them, are they succeeding? But we cannot go in and say, well, geez, you know what? We would like you to do it this way. We would like you to be unionized. That is up to the charters. They have to make that decision. So am I in favor of charters? Not particularly. But again, they're public schools, and if they're filling a need, then that's great. And let's see how we can support them. My son attended a charter school for a brief period of time, and I would go back to a charter if they were fulfilling my child's needs.
Thank you. Barbara Club?
If the charter school arises because for some reason the district is not meeting the needs of a family or a child, then it makes sense to do one of two things. Either explore what it is that we could do as a district to keep that charter from, because charters don't help the district, but charters do help some children, and so since our focus has to be children, we have to accept the fact that there are going to be charters, but the charter should only be encouraged, really, if the district is unable to provide the service that the charter does. I have one grandchild in a charter school who will probably go back into a public school this next year. I have one grandchild who's in a regular school and is not in a charter school, but just different children have different needs, and that's what we're supposed to be dealing with.
Thank you. Mike?
I mentioned earlier that my youngest daughter was at NIA Charter School. She now was a jet. She left NIA not because it was a terrible school, but because she wanted a real high school experience, and you don't get that from our charters here in town. I look at this from the big picture, and that is that as a non-teacher, what we've been recognizing in our society, and you have to remember, I was in elementary school in the 1950s, one size fits all. That's the way we worked then. But we all know now that each child learns not the same as every other child. And so oftentimes a different teaching methodology or style works better for them. And I look at well-run, well-supervised charter schools as no different than a magnet school or an innovative program. And this district has taken the path to create the magnets and the innovative programs so that we wouldn't have charter schools. But we still need to monitor the charter schools that we do have because we're not as well as I think we should. Thank you.
Unfortunately, each student we lose to a charter, we lose that ATA. And at one time we lost 1,000 students, a big hit for the district. When we met with parents in the community in creating the master plan, what we heard from the parents was that they wanted choice. We addressed their need by creating the Art Magnet School. Maya Lynn used to be Washington School, where I was the principal of, and 2 innovative programs at Bay Farm and Earhart. We will be planning for 6 to 12 grade program at SNL High School. We are listening and responding to those parents who felt that they want choice.
Yeah, I'm just going to say I sort of agree with Ron's position, but I'm going to talk about the effects that charters can have on a school district. Just give you a scenario here. When we're trying to pass Measure A and the uncertainty about it, a group of parents got together over in Bay Farm, the Bay Farm area, and we're thinking about taking Earhart and Bay Farm School into the charter system. If that had happened, if that had gone through, that would have destroyed the school district. It would have had a substantial impact on the school district. We can't let that happen. Now, what's happened is I don't have any problem with the charters that we have in ACLC, Academy. I think what it has done for the school district is pushed us into these innovative programs to give choice to our parents. And I think that's been really good. I think one of the effects of the charters has actually had a really good effect on this district. And I like to see that going. I think as we give our parents more choices, that the needs for the charters will go down. And that's sort of what that's, but what we do as a school board, it doesn't matter whether we like them or don't like them. The state law says if they have these things, their documents signed, they will become charters where we approve it, the county approves it, or the states approve it.
Thank you. Ms. Murphy?
Thank you. Charter schools arise out of a need that's not being met in the community, and that's a good thing sometimes. And there's pros and cons, just like with most big decisions. And my son went to Arthur Anderson over at SNL kind of early on, and he was there about 1.5 years or 2 years. Then he decided he wanted to have more structure. He thought the structure kind of fell apart, and it's more for students that are very self-driven. And it turns out he was self-driven, and yet he still wanted structure. He was so self-driven, he read those cover-to-cover C++ books, the language of software programming. And he's a high-paid engineer right now at Yahoo, 5 years in at Yahoo, which is a long time in that industry. And so charter schools could be very good, and it's for the self-driven student. And I don't want to see them go by the wayside, but there probably should be some limitations on how many, because there might not be a public school system. It might be all private.
Kurt Peterson.
I'll make this real short and simple on charters. I believe competition is very important, and I think it brings out your weaknesses. I don't have a problem with charter schools. We'll learn from charter schools if we really think about it. Okay. But I have a serious issue right now. You folks don't know how incredibly close we are right now to possibly seeing a teacher strike. You're bringing up, questions, but there's key things going on here. You got the lowest public feelings between the teachers and the staff and superintendent all the time in this district. Okay, they don't have a negotiated contract. They're still working on it. It's out there. Okay, you have 10 times more grievances right now under the current superintendent than they ever had as far as in the other superintendents. There's serious issues here. We're bringing up some of them, but but you better look at it. The board's gonna act. They gotta correct issues, okay? It's their responsibility for you as the citizens and the public to work towards those goals. So look at it carefully. There are a lot more major things than what we're bringing up tonight. Read carefully. Thank you.